All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about ETL and ELT. I mean, you see these acronyms everywhere in the data world, right? They sound almost exactly the same, but just swapping one little letter represents this massive shift in how companies handle information. So today, we are going to break down that difference simply and clearly.
So let's get right into it. What is the real difference here? Because on the surface, they look almost identical, but trust me, that one little switch has huge implications for how modern businesses work with their data. So what really separates them? Let's dive in.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about the OG, the classic method that has been the backbone of data warehousing for, well, decades, and that is ETL. You really got to understand this one to get why the other one even exists.
So ETL, it stands for extract, transform, and load. And let me tell you, that order, the sequence of those words, isn't just a suggestion. It is everything. It defines the entire process from start to finish. It's actually a super logical, step-by-step kind of thing. First, you extract the data. You pull it from all its different sources. Then you transform it. And this is the heavy lifting, right? This is where you clean it up, you structure it, you get it all nice and tidy. And only then, when it's perfect, do you load it into its final home, like a data warehouse. So, if there's one thing to remember about ETL, it is this. All of that messy cleaning work, all the transformation, it happens in this separate staging area before the data ever touches its final destination. It's kind of like a chef preparing a whole meal in the kitchen before it ever gets brought out to your table.
All right, so that's the classic way. Now let's look at the modern approach, the one that comes in and just flips that whole process right on its head. Let's talk about ELT. And yeah, you've probably already figured it out. ELT stands for extract, load, and transform. We have the same three ingredients, but we've just swapped the L and the T. And that tiny little change? Well, it makes a world of difference.
Okay, so with ELT, you still start by extracting the data. That part's the same. But here's the crazy part, the real game changer. You immediately load it, like raw, messy, totally untouched, straight into your system. All the cleaning, all the transforming, that happens way later, after it's already in the warehouse.
So what's the point of doing that? Well, it is all about speed and flexibility. You just dump everything in first, which means your analysts and data scientists can get their hands on the raw, unfiltered data almost instantly. Then they get to decide how to transform it, right inside the warehouse, for whatever they need. It's a totally different philosophy. Okay, so we've seen both sides of the coin. Now it is time for that aha moment. Let's put them right next to each other and make this difference crystal clear.
Seriously, if you boil it all down, this is it. It's all about the timing of that transformation step. Do you do all the hard work before you load the data or after? That's the whole ballgame right there.
And I love this analogy because it just makes it click. Think of ETL as the chef's method. The chef cooks and plates your meal perfectly in the kitchen. What you get is a finished product. ELT? That's the buffet method. All the ingredients are just laid out for you, and you get to decide what to put on your plate and how to arrange it.
So this big shift from the chef to the buffet, it didn't just happen because it sounded cool. There was a huge technological tidal wave that made the ELT approach not just possible, but in a lot of cases, way, way better.
So what was it? What was this game changer? Why are so many modern companies, from the tiny startups to the massive tech giants, jumping on this load first, clean later bandwagon?
The answer, in a nutshell, is one of the single biggest forces in tech over the last decade, the cloud, and more specifically, the rise of these unbelievably powerful cloud data warehouses. I'm talking about tools like Snowflake, Google's BigQuery, Amazon Redshift. These things are just absolute beasts. They have so much raw computing power that they can chew through and transform massive amounts of raw data right where it sits. See, back in the day, that was impossible. Your destination system just couldn't handle that kind of workload, so you had to clean the data first. The cloud just completely changed the rules of the game.
All right, let's wrap this up with one final super clear recap. ETL, extract, transform, load. You transform the data first. ELT, extract, load, transform. You load the raw data first. It's that simple a difference in the order of operations, all made possible by modern technology.
When you think about it, this whole shift from ETL to ELT really tells a bigger story about our relationship with data. Thanks to the cloud, the bottleneck isn't the processing power anymore. So the most important question has changed from how you process your data to simply when.
And that really makes you wonder, right? What is the next big bottleneck that's about to get completely wiped out by technology?